Genesis. Chapter 1 Verse 1. Footnotes and References. Genesis 1:1. Footnote 1. The Bible, composed of two testaments, the Old Testament and the New Testament, is the complete written divine revelation of God to man. The major revelation in the entire Bible is the unique divine economy of the unique triune God. The centrality and universality of this divine economy is the all-inclusive and unsearchably rich Christ, as the embodiment and expression of the triune God. The goal of the divine economy is the Church as the body, the fullness, the expression, of Christ, which will consummate in the New Jerusalem as the union, mingling, and incorporation of the processed and consummated triune God and His redeemed, regenerated, transformed, and glorified tripartite people. The accomplishing of the divine economy is revealed in the Bible progressively in many steps, beginning with God's creation in Genesis 1-2, and consummating with the New Jerusalem in Revelation 21-22. In the Old Testament, the contents of God's economy are revealed mainly in types, figures, and shadows, whereas in the New Testament all the types, figures, and shadows are fulfilled and realized. Thus, the Old Testament is a figurative portrait of God's eternal economy, and the New Testament is the practical fulfillment. Genesis, adopted by the Septuagint as the title of this book, is a Latin word meaning giving of birth, origin. As the first book in the Bible, Genesis gives birth to, and is the origin of the divine truths in the Holy Word. Thus, the seeds of the divine truths are sown in this book. These seeds grow and develop in the succeeding books, especially in the New Testament, and are finally harvested in the last book, the Book of Revelation. The Book of Genesis is a miniature of the complete revelation of the entire Bible. It begins with a man created in God's image and ends with a man called Israel, a transformed person, a man not only outwardly in the image of God but a man in whom God has wrought Himself, making him His expression. The transformed Israel is a seed, a miniature, of the New Jerusalem. Apparently, chapters 1-2 of Genesis are merely a record of creation. Actually, nearly every item in the record of these two chapters is a revelation of Christ, who is life to God's people for the producing and building up of the Church. Chapters 3-50 present biographies of 8 great persons in 2 groups of 4, representing 2 races of men, Adam, Abel, Enoch, and Noah, representing the created race, and Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Joseph, representing the called race. What is recorded is not primarily the works of these men but mainly their life, their living, and their way with God. In Genesis, God uses both the record of creation and the biographies of 8 persons, to reveal the life that fulfills His purpose. Genesis 1:1. Footnote 2. Beginning. Referring to the beginning of time. Time began at the creation of the universe, and continues until the final judgment at the great white throne. Time is for the accomplishing of God's eternal purpose, which God made in eternity past for eternity future. Genesis 1:1. Footnote 3. God. Hebrew Elohim, meaning the Mighty One. The Hebrew name here is plural, but the verb created is singular. Furthermore, in verse 26 the plural pronouns us and are used in reference to God, whereas in verse 27 the pronouns he and his are used. These are seeds of the Trinity. God is one, but He is also 3: the Father, the Son, and the Spirit. He is the triune God. It was the triune God who created. Genesis is divided into 3 sections, each beginning with a name. The first section, beginning with the name God, concerns God's creation. The second, beginning with the serpent, covers the serpent's corrupting of mankind, and the third, beginning with the name Jehovah, concerns Jehovah's calling of fallen man. Genesis 1:1 Footnote 4. Created. Created here, denoting to bring something into existence out of nothing, differs from made in 2:4 and formed in 2:7, the latter two denoting to take something that already exists, and use it to produce something else. The motive of God's creation was to fulfill God's desire, and to satisfy His good pleasure. The purpose of God's creation is to glorify the Son of God and to manifest God Himself, especially in man through His Son, Christ, who is the embodiment of God and the image, the expression, of God. The basis of God's creation is God's will and plan. The means of God's creation were the Son of God and the Word of God, both of whom are Christ. Genesis 1:1 Footnote 5. Heavens. In the process of God's creation, the heavens and the angels therein were created first, and the earth, probably with some living creatures, was created second.